Hello mga bata! Handa na ba kayong matuto sa ating lesson ngayon sa Quarter 3, Week 2 lesson? Okay, so welcome to my TikTok PH. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and Facebook. So I'm Teacher Novi H. Pacuns. So our quarter 3 week 2 objectives at the end of the lesson, you should be able to define the following angle pairs and use their corresponding concepts to answer some geometric problems. So number 1, adjacent angles. Number 2, complementary. Number 3, supplementary. Number 4, linear pairs. And last one, number 5, vertical angles. Ito yung kailangan ninyong ma-master ngayon sa week 2 objectives. All about angle pairs or relationship of angles. So, unahin natin. Pag sinabi natin adjacent angles, ito yung illustration natin sa real life, no? Ito yung bintana. So, saan kaya madalas ginagamit yan? Yung angles, di ba? Ang angles natin, makikita natin, ito yung angles, yun yung line. Okay, the shape of the angle. And also, this is the slice speed. Sa makikita rin natin yung angles or adjacent angles dito. Yung green, slice, tsaka yung blue. But what is the definition of adjacent angles? Okay, so ito yung isang halimbawa, no? Ito yung ring ng yung bike or yung gulong ng bike. So ito yung red, this is also adjacent angles. So pag sinabi natin adjacent or what is adjacent, ito not adjacent ito. Kung titignan nyo, no, ito naman, this is adjacent. So kung titignan natin yan, ano yung pagkakaiba nila? So we have adjacent angles are two angles in the same plane which have a common vertex. Dapat para masabi adjacent, meron silang common vertex and common sides but no interior points in common. Ito, not adjacent ito because they have no common side and common vertex, while this is adjacent angles because they have common vertex and common side. Okay, so take note of the underlined words. And adjacent angles have a common side. So ito yung example natin, angle ABD and angle CBD are adjacent because it satisfies the definition na meron silang common side at common vertex. And do not have interior points. Take note of that. And you are going to determine whether the given is adjacent or not adjacent. So example, angle TQP and angle RQP, this is adjacent angles. So bakit kaya siya adjacent? Because they have common vertex. Yun yung Q natin, no? Ito yung common vertex. And common sides. So the sides, that is the ray, QP. Yun yung common nila. And do not have interior points. That's why they are called adjacent angles. Another, we have number 2, angle PQT and angle STQ. This is not adjacent. Bakit kaya siya not adjacent? Because they don't have common vertex. Okay. And number 3, angle PQR and angle STR. This is not adjacent because they don't have common vertex, no common side, and they have interior points in common. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya adjacent. Kapag nakita natin yung mga wala silang vertex, I mean, common vertex, common side. Okay, so with that, you are going to determine whether these angles is adjacent or not. So, meron tayong measure. Example, letter A, this is obviously adjacent. Okay, this also letter B, adjacent. Letter C, not adjacent kasi nga wala silang common side at common vertex. Letter D, this is not adjacent. Wala silang common side. Meron silang common vertex dito ha. Common side lang yung wala. Sa letter E, this is adjacent. They have common side and common vertex. Letter F, this is adjacent. Letter G, this is not adjacent kasi wala silang common side. Okay, vertex lang or I mean common vertex lang meron sila. And with that, another concept, we have the word complementary angles. Ano naman ang ibig sabihin ng complementary angles? So pag sinabi natin complementary, ito yung example natin sa real life. No? This is a gate. So kung titignan nyo yung dalawang arrow na to, this is complementary angles. Two angles, if you add, what is the sum of complementary? We will find out later. And another real life, this is the straight road. And yung angle A, angle B, if you're going to observe, they form a right angle. And this is, what is the sum of the complementary angles? Okay, so with that, So let's find out what is complementary angle. So as you can see, the measure of this angle is 30 plus 60 is equal to 90. Another, we have 40 plus 50 degrees equals to 90. So what is complementary angle? So that is, complementary angles add up to 90. Ibig sabihin, pag inad mo yung dalawang angles, the sum is always 90. And we call that complementary. Okay, so with that, sa angles natin, sa complementary, it can be adjacent angles. So take note, let's go back to definition. No? Meron silang common side, meron common vertex. And this is adjacent at the same time na complementary. Kasi nga, 90 pa rin yung sum nila. Another we have, this is not adjacent because they don't have common vertex, no common side. But still, if you add 40 plus 50, that is equal to 90 degrees. And we call that complementary. Okay, so with that, you are going to use the concept of complementary to solve for the missing angle, or that is to solve for x. So the equation would be x plus 62 is equal to 90. So meaning, dalawang angles, if you add, the sum is 90. Kaya yung equation natin, x plus 62 equals 90. Then, apply the rules of equation. You're going to use the addition property, no? So that's why you have to transpose yung 62. It becomes negative. Kaya ma-minus natin. And that is 90 minus 62. Therefore, we get x equals 28 degrees. That is now the value or the measure of the smaller angle. If you are going to check the smaller angle, add mo dun sa larger, the sum is 90. And that is called complementary angles. So this is adjacent angles. So another number to example, this is not adjacent angles, complementary siya. So how are you going to solve the value of x or the missing angle using the, okay, so equation natin, 34 plus x equals 90. Saan nga nanggaling yung 90? Because the concept of complementary. So meaning the sum of the two angles is always 90. And you're going to transpose 34 on the right side of the equation, that will become negative. Or subtract natin. That is 90 minus 34, we get x equals 56 degrees. Meaning, the larger angle measure is 56. If you're going to check, add mo lang yung smaller mo na 34 sa 56, that is 90. And that is complementary. Okay, so how about this problem number 3? 2x is the larger, the smaller one is x. So first, you're going to write the equation. Paano na ba natin susulat? Okay, so ganito lang siya. 2x plus x equals 90. And then, combine like terms. Balikan natin sa equation natin. No? So, 2x plus x, obviously, that is 3x. And, kailangan natin tanggalin yung 3 dyan. Divide both sides by 3. Okay, instead of multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 3, which is 1/3, you can do the shortcut method natin. Kaya cancel yung 3 dyan, x na lang yan, and that is 90 over 3, that is 30. Yan na yung value ng x natin. And then you can now solve for the, or find the smaller and the larger angle by checking. Okay, so substitute lang natin doon sa given original equation natin, yung 30 doon sa x na. Kaya 2 times 30, that is 60. Bring down yung 30. What is 60 plus 30? That is 90. And that is called complementary angles. And then, from this, kopyahin mo na lang yung sagot mo. The smaller angle is now is 30 and the larger angle is 60. And that is the concept of complementary angles. Okay, let's have number 4. This is the smaller, x plus 8. The larger is 2x. Paano na ba natin malalaman kung smaller siya? Depende yan sa opening. Kung mas malaki, siya yung larger. Kung mas maliit, obviously, that is smaller. And the equation would be x plus 8. Ito yung smaller mo, 2x plus 2x equals 90. Lagi siyang 90 kasi nga complementary. Kaya add mo yung similar terms, x plus 2x, that is 3x. Bring down yung 8 kasi wala naman siyang similar terms. That is a constant. Then, transpose mo yung 8 on the right side of the equation, that will become minus. That is 3x equals 90 minus 8. And the difference of 90 minus 8 is 82. Kaya shortcut natin, divide both sides by 3. Cancel si 3. Therefore, x equals 27.33. And then, to solve for or to find the smaller and the larger, substitute lang natin yung value ng x. Kaya magiging 27.33 plus 8 plus 2 times 27.33 equals 90 kapag inad natin yan. And that is 35.33 plus 54.66 equals 90. Round off natin yung sagot nyo sa calculator, 89.99. The rounded off is 90 degrees. Yun yung concept ng complementary. And then from this, you can now find the smaller angle. That is 35.33 and the larger angle is 54.66. Pag inad mo to, 90 degrees yan because that is the concept of the complementary. Okay, let's go on supplementary angles. Ano naman ang supplementary angles? Okay, so example natin sa real life, no? Saan nga pa makikita sa real life to? Ito, yung gate natin. Example, this is form a straight line. Ibig sabihin, two angles that form a line. Okay, another we have this, yung parking line. Ito, parking lot ito. So meaning this is form a line. Two angles form a line. So ano kaya yung total angles nila? Yung dalawang angles. Okay, so with that, what is 130 plus 80? Okay, that is 180, right? And another, this is 110 plus 70, that is 180 also. As you can see, this is adjacent na supplementary siya. While this, not adjacent. So, babalikan natin yung concept kanina. And with that, what is now the meaning of supplementary? So, supplementary means the sum of two angles is always 180. Regardless whether it is adjacent or not adjacent, as much as you get the sum of 180. That is the concept. And with that, the sum of the measure of two angles is 180. Okay, so let's do the example. Solve for x. So how are you going to find the value of x? So kailangan tama yung iyong equation. So first, x plus 130 equals 180. Saan nga nanggaling yung 180? Because the concept of supplementary, the sum of two angles is 180. Kaya yung smaller mo is x, the larger is 130. And then, transpose mo yung 130 sa kabila or on the right side. That will become minus. Kaya 180 minus 130, that is x equals 50 degrees. Ibig sabihin, yung smaller mo is 50, larger is 130. Pag inad mo yan, 180 yan. That is the supplementary angles concept. And number two example natin, we have this. So obviously, the smaller angle is 3x, the larger is 9x. But how are you going to find the value of x? So use the concept of the equation. So kailangan tama yung pagkakasulat mo ng equation mo. So 9x plus 3x, combined like terms, that is 12x. And immediately, you're going to divide both sides by 12 para malaman natin yung value ni x. Kaya cancels yung 12 dyan. But on the right side, 180 divided by 12, that is 15. Kaya x natin equals 15. And then you can now find the smaller angle by substitution lang, no? Checking natin. So first, copy natin yung given equation natin. Then substitute natin yung 15 doon sa x. Kaya magiging 9 times 15 plus 3 times 15 equals 180. Okay, and then 135 plus 45, what is the sum of this? That is 180. Okay, that is 180 equals 180. Kailangan makita natin yan. That is the supplementary. And then, you can now, what is the answer? What is the smaller angle? So, titignan mo na lang siya dito, 45 degrees, and then the larger angle is 135. And let's go on linear pairs. Ano naman ang ibig sabihin ng linear pairs? Okay, so ito yung real-life application natin. No? Straight road pa rin siya. So, two angles form a straight line pa rin yan. So, as you can see, para siyang shape ng protractor. Remember, the protractor has a measure of 180 degree. Okay, another we have, this is balance scale. But obviously, this is also a form a straight line. And this is also a shape of a protractor. We also have the measure of 180. Okay, with that, linear pairs are two adjacent angles that create a line. Para masabing linear pair, kailangan makakabuo tayo ng straight line. And also, two angles are supplementary. Ibig sabihin, pag sinabing linear pairs, pinagsamang adjacent na supplementary yung definition nila. Okay, so example natin na we have 119 plus 61 is 180. And this is adjacent at the same time supplementary. Kasi nga meron tayong supplementary na hindi adjacent. Remember? And that is linear pair. Okay, so another we have 145 plus 35. This is also gives the sum of 180. And this is adjacent angles at the same time supplementary. Kaya nga siya tinawag na linear pairs. Kailangan masatisfy yung dalawang concept na yon or dalawang definition. Okay, so example natin, no, you are going to solve for x and then determine the measure of the smaller and the larger. So kailangan tama yung iyong pagkakasulat ng equation. We have 3x plus 55 plus 2x equals 180. Lagi siyang 180 kasi nga linear pairs ito. Okay, and then combine like terms, 3x plus 2x, that is 5x. So green up lang yung similar terms, remember sa equation? And then that is 5x equals 180 minus 55. Saan ang galing yung 55? Galing po dito, di ba? Tinranspose natin. So since it's positive, naging negative kasi nagre-reverse siya ng sign kapag nililipat natin ang pwesto. Okay, and that is 180 minus 55, 125 na siya. Kaya 5x divide by 5, cancel yung 5 dyan. On the right side, we have 125 over 5, that is 25. Kaya ang value na x natin ngayon is 25. And then you can now find the smaller angle using the checking. So substitute lang natin yung x natin na 25, kaya magiging 3 times 25 plus 55. Ito yung larger natin. Plus 2 times 25, ito yung smaller natin. And that is 130 plus 50. Ano yung sum nila? That is 180. Kaya kailangan makita natin yung 180. And you can now answer the smaller angle is 50 degrees and the larger is 130. Yan yung sagot nila. Kapag chinek mo yan, kailangan mag-total to ng 180. That is called the linear pairs. Okay, so another, we have number 2. So the smaller angle is x minus 2 kasi mas maliit yung opening ng angle mo. So the larger is 2x minus 30. And then you can now present the equation. We have 2x minus 30 plus x minus 12 equals 180. And then you can group the similar terms. Kaya naging 2x plus x plus minus 12 minus 30. Or you can read as negative 12 negative 30 is the same as minus. Yun yung function niya. And you can now add this. We have 3x minus 42 equals 180. Then transpose natin yung negative 42 sa kabila, magiging positive. Kaya magiging 3x equals 180 plus 42. And the sum of this, that is 222. Kaya magiging 3x over 3, cancel na yung 3 dyan. Pero ang quotient ni 222 over 3, that is x equals 74. So, yan na yung value ng x natin. And then, you can now solve or find the smaller and the larger angle by simply checking. Copy the original equation. We have this. And then, substitute natin yung x na 74. That is 2 times 74 minus 30. Ito ngayon yung larger. The smaller angle is 74 minus 12. That is now 118 plus 62. Ano yung sum ngayon nila? That is 180. That is called linear pairs. And we have equals 180 equals 180. So, kailangan makita natin yung 180 na to. And you can now find the smaller. Obviously, that is 62 degrees. And the larger is 118 degrees. So, yan yung linear pairs. And last concept natin, pag sinabi natin vertical angles, saan madalas makikita to? Ito. So, this is cross street. Diba? Ito yung makikita natin sa ating labas ng bahay or sa may kalsada. Diba? Meron tayong cross street or sa stoplight, merong ganito. Okay, para siyang X na shape. And we have this is iron stand or yung plantsahan. Makikita rin ang vertical angles dyan. Basta meron yung X na shape. Yung gunting din. Pag inopen mo yung gunting, magiging vertical angles yun. Okay, basta merong shape. X na shape. And we done, what is the vertical angles? So, two angles are vertical angles if they are not adjacent angles formed by two intersecting lines. Aside from that, kailangan para masabing vertical angles, they are always congruent. Ano naman ang ibig sabihin ng congruent? They have the same number of degrees. Kailangan equal yung measure nila. So for example, we have line AC intersecting with line BD. Therefore, vertical angles form with that. So how many angles do we have? There are 4. So meaning, yung opposite ni angle 1, that is angle 3. Yun yung not adjacent niya, yung katapat niya. Si angle 2, yun naman yung katapat niya, yun yung opposite, that is angle 4. And you can now determine the two pairs of vertical angles. We have angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. Meaning, yung measure ni angle 1 tsaka angle 3 dyan ay equal lang sila kasi nga vertical sila. And number, we have angle 2 and angle 4, also vertical angles. Same measure yan. Okay, now let's apply the vertical concept or vertical angles. Solve for x, y, and z. So given yung 65 natin degrees, First, ang pinakamadali dito, hanapin mo yung y. So, ano yung solution natin dyan? Okay. So, since vertical angles are congruent, the measure of y is also 65 degrees because according to the definition that vertical angles are always congruent. Kaya kukopihin mo lang. And that is 65 degrees. And then, you can now solve for z or x. O dito muna tayo kay x. So to find the value of x using the supplementary angles or the linear pairs concept. So we all know the sum of two angles is 180. Ibig sabihin nito, kung 65 to x to, yung sum nila ay 180. Para malaman natin yung x, iso-subtract natin. Kaya ang equation natin ay x plus 65 equals 180. Then transpose yung 65 sa kabila, magiging minus. Kaya 180 minus 65, the difference is x equals 115. So ito yung value ng x natin. Lagay natin siya. And then you can now solve the value of z. And what is the solution? So since x and z are vertical angles, meaning they are congruent, the measure of z is also 115 degrees. So di ba nakita natin yung pattern? They are vertical angles, yung kanyang opposite. But yung kanyang katabi ay kanyang supplementary or they are linear pairs. Okay, with that, you are going to make a conclusion based on your observation. So, angle y equals angle 65 or yung angle y natin equals 65 degrees. Angle x equals angle z. So, with that, ang conclusion natin dyan, any opposite angles are always congruent or vertical angles are congruent. So, number 3, we have angle z plus 65, the sum is 180. Angle, 65 plus angle x, the sum is 180. So angle x plus angle y, the sum is also 180. And angle y plus angle z, that is also 180. Ano yung conclusion natin dito? If you're going to observe, no, yung magkatabi sila, meaning they are adjacent, if you're going to add, always the sum is 180. So meaning to say, any two adjacent angles form a linear pair, the sum of two angles is 180. Tandaan natin yan, basta kahit sino dyan na magkatabi, 180 siya because they are linear pairs or supplementary. Okay, now let's apply, solve for x. So how are you going to find the value of x using the vertical concepts or vertical angles? That is, so vertical angles are congruent. So we all know that. Meaning, you're going to solve for x, i-divide na lang natin siya both side by 2. And cancel yung 2, that is x of 74 over 2, that is 37. So how are you going to check? Substitute lang natin. Kung hindi ka sure, i-substitute mo siya doon. What is 2 times 37? That is 74. Kapag nag-equal siya, meaning they are, they are congruent. So meaning equal yung sagot mo. Tama. Okay, so now, you are going to solve for x, the measure of angles, also the measure of angle CAT and angle CAG. So, first, kailangan tama yung equation mo. This is your equation. Vertical angles are congruent. Kapag congruent kasi, ito yung magiging equation mo lagi equal. Kaya 7x minus 20 equals 5x. Then, combine like terms. I-transpose natin yung constant dito sa right side. Yung may variable doon sa left side. Kaya magiging 7x minus 5x equals 20. And then, that is now 2x equals 20 or simply divide both sides by 2 para matanggalin yung 2 dyan. Okay, and then, what is 20 over 2? That is 10. And then, you can now find the value or the measure of angle CAT. 5x, substitute mo lang yung 10 dun sa x. Kaya magiging 5 times 10, that is angle CAT equals 50 degrees. So, ilalagay na natin dyan. So, ang tanong dyan, paano natin malalaman yung angle CAG, yung measure niya? So, anong concept kaya? Okay, that is linear pairs. So, they are related how? By the linear pairs. So, meaning, find angle CAG equals using the linear pairs or the sum of two angles is supplementary sila. No? Kaya 180 minus 50. And the difference is 130. Yun yung measure ngayon ni angle CAG. Ibig sabihin, kung ito ay 130 si CAG, yung katapat niya ay 130 din because they are vertical angles. If this is 50, si angle CAT, yung katapat niya ay 50 degrees din. That is the concept of vertical angles. Okay, now let's sum up. What are the names of the angle pairs? Can you give me the name of the 5 angle pairs? We have the adjacent angles, so complementary angles, supplementary angles, linear pairs, and last one, that's vertical angles. So kailangan yung ma-master natin yung kanilang properties at kung paano natin i-apply. Okay, so let's can you state whether the given statement is true or false? So number one, vertical angles are not congruent. Okay, that is false because remember, vertical angles are always congruent. Since not, the word not, that is false. Take note of that. Another, we have linear pairs are both adjacent angles and supplementary. Okay, that is true. Okay, kasi yan ang definition natin. Number three, the sum of two complementary angles is 180 degrees. That is false. Bakit kaya siya false? Because the sum of two complementary angles is 90 degrees. Kaya 180 kasi nakalagay dyan, kaya false na siya. And number four, if two angles are both congruent and supplementary, then each is a right angle. Okay, that is true. Tandaan natin yan ha. Kaya if both congruent sila, kasi example natin kanina yung parking lot, 90-90, that is congruent. And the sum of 90-90 is 180. Kaya sila ay supplementary. And number five, perpendicular lines form four right angles. That is also true. So ito yung figure natin. Now, if you're going to write two lines that form a vertical line, I mean two perpendicular. Kaya magkakaroon tayo ng four right angles. That is 90 degrees. And with that, you are going to answer the quiz number 2 for angle pairs. So this is 50 items. So don't forget to submit. So this is how to test you kung natuto ba tayo sa lesson natin. We'll see you next time. And don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel. Goodbye, grade 7. We'll see you